YouTube can throttle us.
They can suppress us.
But they can't stop a text message.
Good evening and welcome. We've got reports pouring in from Arizona, Ohio, and across farm country that show a sudden explosion in tick bites and emergency room visits. People who've worked outdoors for decades are pulling ticks off livestock in numbers they've never seen. At the same time, Joe Rogan and Congressman Burchette are openly asking why Bill Gates keeps coming up in the conversation. The pattern is unmistakable, and the question everyone is asking is simple. Are we watching a natural problem or something far more deliberate? See, this is hitting American families right where it hurts. Ranchers and hunters who feed their kids real food now face life-changing allergies. Alpha-gal syndrome turns steak, burgers, and bacon into medical emergencies. Communities built on cattle, horses, and outdoor life are watching their way of life threatened. And politically, it feeds straight into the same elite playbook we've seen before: create a crisis around what people eat, then offer the so-called solution of lab-grown meat and new vaccines. And the same names keep appearing in funding records and bioethics papers. Trust in the system collapses even faster. Americans, already tired of being told what to consume, deserve the truth before this spreads any further. Now, before we go deeper into what this means for food sovereignty, here's a quick national security update on critical minerals. This on SAGA metals. They're trading in the United States as SAGMF and in the U.S. as SAGA in Canada. They're back in the spotlight much sooner than expected. In less than 6 months, this company has moved at a pace rarely seen in the critical mineral space. In less than 48 hours ago, SAGA announced a 100% drill success rate across all 57 holes at its radar project, and they did it ahead of schedule. Now, that alone would be major news, but it's only part of the story. SAGA also added $10 million to its treasury through a recent financing round, and the company is securing strategic resources that America needs for energy independence. Watch out for the in-depth interview on this very topic on Sunday, and check the link in the description for the latest updates. Now back to our main story on the tick surge that has millions of Americans questioning who really controls our food supply. See, while Americans focus on these tick reports, a peer-reviewed paper published last year openly argues that genetically engineering ticks to spread alpha-gal syndrome is morally obligatory. The authors call it a moral bioenhancer. Now, this is no longer fringe speculation. It's sitting in an American journal, and it lines up exactly with the funding trails that we have just discussed. Phoenix, Arizona is reporting an uptick in tick bites and emergency room visits. It's now making the local news. Take a look at this.
There's been an uptick in emergency room visits for ticks, and actually, this is actually tick removal. And one of the things that we've learned at the National Pest Management Association, we surveyed Americans and found that only 31% of Americans actually know how to properly remove a tick. So I think this is sending people to the emergency room.
Okay, so tell us, how do you properly remove a tick?
Yeah, well, there are lots of home remedies for how to remove a tick, but the best way to do it is just simply with a set of tweezers to get a hold of that tick right at its head, and then slowly but steadily pull. Don't yank it, don't twist it. You don't want to break any part of that tick off inside your skin. Believe me, when you're pulling on a tick slowly and steadily, it will let go, and you'll be able to remove that thing from your skin. And it's important to remove ticks as soon as possible. It often takes time for ticks to be able to transmit disease, and that's the real concern when it comes to ticks on people.
So that's the local report out of Phoenix. And now we have this, that Arizona is seeing a spike in tick-related ER visits, and the vaccine push is already rolling out, but a horse breeder in Ohio says the problem has exploded in her state as well. This woman who's raised horses for 30 years says the ticks are out of control. Coincidentally, Pfizer and Valneva announced Lyme disease vaccine in phase 3 Valor trial. MJ Truth Ultra says cause the problem, profit off the solution. Check out this testimony.
Kid you not, we've had to spend like over $100 in the last
5 minutes because I can't take the tick situation anymore. The tick situation in this state. There are ticks everywhere. In 30 years, 20 some years of having horses, I've never had to deal with these many ticks. I'm pulling off ticks of his body, cleaning him up. I did that the last few days. Today I just had to put more medication on him. Poor thing, he's got like meds everywhere. Look at poor thing. Oh my God. I'm sorry, buddy. I know. We're gonna go outside.
So there you have one horse owner, an Ohio rancher, dealing with ticks like never before after 3 decades on the job. Now the reports show genetically modified ticks spreading alpha-gal syndrome and destroying the ability to eat real meat. Dr. Dawn Michael. The tick pandemic has started in the United States after Bill Gates' genetically modified mosquitoes. Now genetically engineered ticks are being released into the wild. They're attaching to animals in all 50 states and attacking almost every creature in nature. Because of alpha-gal syndrome, people can no longer eat red meat. Remember what Gates said in 2021? We plan to reduce red meat consumption to 0 by 2030. Coincidence? You decide. Take a look at some of this footage.
This might be the most ticks I've ever seen on any animal ever. That is insane. And look at the size of them. They're enormous. Huge ticks on this girl. But we just got this python out of the Everglades and she was sitting on a clutch of eggs. We got them too, and you can see she popped this egg right away. You can see the embryo in there is starting to look like a snake. It's got scales developed, so these weren't too far off from hatching. So we got her out just in the nick of time.
Oh my goodness. So alpha-gal cases are surging because these ticks are being engineered to target red meat consumption. Joe Rogan and Congressman Burchette just named the man behind it. They discuss how Bill Gates is behind the ticks biting people and making them permanently intolerant of meat. What the hell is going on here? Okay, ready? Here we go.
Well, it seems like there's a real pandemic right now on this cruise ship. You know about that hantavirus?
Yeah.
That seems really crazy.
And,
So
and ticks. Watch that thing.
the tick thing is nuts.
Yeah,
Especially
because of meat, because of Gates.
Well, there's
Bill
boxes
Gates, not
people
Matt.
are finding. I don't know if this is true because I've seen many reports on it, but I'm just going to say what I saw. That farmers and ranchers are finding boxes of ticks on their property. Now, I don't know if that's fake.
I
I
don't
don't know if
either.
someone's setting that up to pretend they found these boxes of ticks, but there's videos of these people finding boxes of ticks.
Now, what they'll say is they'll probably say they're sterile ticks and that we're planting them out there so we can diminish the population, is what they'll say. But anytime they try to mess with the balance of nature, it never goes right.
Is that what they're saying? This is
No,
where
but
you,
just
where you
get
hearing
ready.
that from?
That's what
you
you're
think?
getting it right here.
I don't believe you have a right to go to someone's
I don't-
property
no
and drop
way.
off sterile ticks.
No way in hell.
That's crazy either way. But I have a good friend of mine who got bit by the Lone Star tick and has that alpha-gal problem.
Yeah, a guy came out of my house yesterday looking at putting gutters up at our house. And dadgum, he said, and I said, you did what? He goes, yeah, I can't eat anything, any meat produced by a mammal.
Yes.
I was like,
yeah.
just-
So my buddy, he had it, and my friend Evan, so he had it for a little while, and then he did a bunch of treatments and got off of it and then started eating steak again. And he was fine for about a year and a half, and then it came back stronger than ever. And he just can't shake it.
It's
He
been
can't
around
shake
that
it.
long, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't-
He can only eat eggs. I mean, he's basically eating eggs and vegetables. That's all he's eating. And every time he tries to deviate, he has a horrible reaction. It makes, for people that don't know, it makes your body allergic to red meat.
right. And who has got genetically made meat now?
Yeah. Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Yeah, well, they're doing things with mosquitoes, and they're messing around with nature in a way that no one's giving you permission to. The general public does not want you doing this. If they could vote on it, they'd say no way.
Joe Rogan and Burchette laying out how Gates is connected to the tick surge, and videos are now surfacing of metal boxes full of these ticks being dropped on farms and woods. Valerie Ann Smith posted this. Bill Gates bioengineered ticks in the alpha-gal trap. Bioengineered Lone Star ticks and metal tick boxes are being dropped across farms and woods. They swarm animals and humans. Result, hundreds of thousands of Americans now have alpha-gal syndrome, a permanent deadly allergy to real red meat. No more steak, burgers, or bacon. Not a coincidence. Gates funded tick research, and now Pfizer rolls out a new Lyme disease vaccine right as cases explode. Create the crisis, no real meat possible. Sell the solution, his lab-grown freaking meat. Wake up, this is engineered, protect our food, and expose the agenda.
Top plot, and I saw this little guy I don't know if he's alive or he's got ticks all over his head and eyes. I mean, look at that. On his ears. Oh my gosh. I don't know what to do.
I'm out here mushroom hunting and I found, there it is right there, the tick box. I'm not going to touch it because there's ticks all over that thing. I know there is. Look at them crawling out of it. Millions of them.
There are 450,000 Americans with alpha-gal syndrome from these bioengineered ticks from this fucking psychopath right here. And they can no longer eat red meat for their entire lives. And this is not normal, guys. It's not normal for these massive moose to be covered in tens of thousands of ticks, literally killing them in Canada, or snakes covered in hundreds of ticks in Australia being killed once again. All this is happening right before they're coming out with a new Lyme disease vaccine. It's just the 101 of their playbook, guys. Engineer the problem and then the solution.
So boxes of lab-engineered ticks hitting properties nationwide. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation openly funding the genetic modification of ticks through Oxitec. So we have this here. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation publicly funded the genetic modification of ticks using self-limiting gene technology through the biotech company Oxitec, operating as Flighter Limited. This demonstrates capability and direct involvement with engineering ticks. And who the hell is this guy? Who gave this guy the power to do anything? So that's the story from Phoenix. So the Gates-funded research have the tech to alter these ticks. Reports confirm the same ticks are being airdropped in boxes. Here's a better quality video of that.
I'm out here mushroom hunting and I found, there it is right there, the tick box. I'm not going to touch it because there's ticks all over that thing. I know there is. Look at them crawling out of it. Millions of them. You can see the tick.
Oh my goodness. So lab ticks are being released on the farms and forests. The goal to trigger alpha-gal allergies so millions can no longer eat real meat. And they're forced into Gates-backed lab-grown alternatives. Health Organics posts this, that Bill Gates has funded genetically modified ticks which are infecting people. This is being done purposely by the global cult to lower meat consumption. And it says here, I think that's maybe 4,500,000 Americans now have a meat allergy because of these ticks. It's known as alpha-gal syndrome. Let's hear what this guy has to say.
Bill Gates has been developing ticks which are genetically modified to infect the US population with alpha-gal syndrome. This is a syndrome which, when this tick bites, prevents you from being able to digest meat and you begin to have meat allergies. They say that they are bringing this because of climate change, and the more meat consumption happens, the more there is global warming and all of that. But what's astonishing to me is that this is not the real reason why they're doing this. The real reason as to why they're doing this is because, again, they want to create this problem and then sell a solution. And what is the solution? Bill Gates has already started funding in the solution, which is lab-grown meat. So lab-grown meat can be digested by people who have alpha-gal syndrome, can be consumed without any meat allergies, and that is why he's funding it. I mean, you can see the same pattern, right? First, they create the problem. More than 450,000 people from the US have already got this tick bite. And then they create the solution. Here you go. Here's the lab meat for you. And then they do it globally. So I won't be surprised if this starts to pop up in other countries as well. I really want you to be mindful, aware, and careful of what is going on in this world right now. And for that, what I've done is I've opened up a subscription-only community where I will be able to give you more.
So 450,000 Americans, the pattern is clear, create the meat allergy with engineered ticks and then sell them fake meat and vaccines. And John Rich is calling this domestic terrorism. He says the plan is to get everyone sick from bioengineered ticks that make it impossible for you to eat meat without getting violently ill. Then they'll offer you a vaccine. Why is this not considered domestic terrorism? And then he links to a peer-reviewed paper published last year in the journal Bioethics by two professors at Western Michigan University School of Medicine arguing that it's morally obligatory to genetically engineer ticks. Paper is called beneficial blood-sucking. Their argument, if eating meat is morally wrong, then preventing the spread of a disease that forces people to stop eating meat is also morally wrong. Scientists should gene edit Lone Star ticks to enhance their ability to carry alpha-gal syndrome and expand their range into urban environments to infect more people. They call this a moral bioenhancer. They frame releasing genetically modified disease-carrying ticks as a vaccination that only infringes on your bodily autonomy rather than violating it. The distinction apparently is that a tick bit you instead of a government official holding you down. Alpha-gal syndrome is not mild. The CDC estimates up to 450,000 Americans are already affected. Cases have surged 100-fold in the last decade, and symptoms include anaphylaxis. There is no cure. Alpha-gal cases are exploding across the U.S. The Lone Star tick, its range is expanding far beyond its historical territory, and 2 academics at medical school published a paper arguing this is a good thing that should be accelerated. At what point do we stop treating papers like this as fringe academic exercises and start asking whether anyone is already acting on them? So, this is scary stuff that's happening right now. Bill Gates exposed behind the massive tick outbreak. So here's the real danger staring America right in the face. When academics can publish papers calling for the release of gene-edited ticks to force people off red meat, and the same foundation linked to insect modifications already involved, the line between theory and action has been crossed. The establishment wants you dependent on their lab-grown products, while real ranchers and hunters are left with nothing. This is about control over what goes on your plate and whether you get a say in it. The American people have the right to know exactly who's messing with the balance of nature on their land. So this story is a direct attack on American food freedom and the right to raise and eat real meat without government or billionaire interference. So share this video everywhere you can. Leave your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what you think. Do you believe these tick releases are accidental or part of a bigger plan to push lab-grown meat? And text raw feed to the secret number on the screen, 844-840-4963, to bypass the algorithm and get direct updates from me right to your phone. Make sure you check out the Next News merch shelf below this video for America 250 gear. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and keep fighting for the truth, because we're not backing down.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.